Selected works of László Cholnoky. Translated by Petra Sobo. My box. Another man would have written, my room. But I cannot, for what I live in is not a room, but rather a kind of slightly larger little case, a box. It contains a bed, a stovepipe, and 74 bedbugs. I know them all by name. Each day a different detachment is on duty, they take turns biting. And sometimes, toward dawn, I am there as well. But when I am at home, the door cannot be shut because my legs stick out. Old Bolvery, the bailiff, already knows in the vestibule whether I am in, for he sees my feet. Then he comes in, seizes the bedbug detachment on duty, and departs. As for me, I go on sleeping, or I gaze at the icicles hanging from the ceiling, which, in milder weather, are replaced by little marshes and tiny bogs. Around noon my landlady, a stout Jewish woman, scratches the sole of my foot, that is my pocket watch, from it I know the time. As for other necessities, too, such small tricks and substitutions occur. For instance, a very ancient wicker chair serves me perfectly well in place of a washstand. On a windy night I burned out the wicker from it. Half of an aged bedsheet performs the office of a towel, and the candlestick is replaced by the drops of tallow with which I fasten the candle to the edge of my bed. I had almost forgotten that there are cobwebs in my box. Of course there are, and how many? And then, in the fifth crack of the right-hand wall, 3 cockroaches live. I have often observed them on quiet nights, and have come to the conclusion that all 3 are old maids, for they are terribly thin, melancholy, and forever bickering. Above all, I infer their spinsterly nature from the way they shake their heads and grumble whenever, returning home at night, I breathe the smell of wine. The masculine bedbugs, on the other hand, behave quite differently in such cases. They charge at me merrily and draw from me a considerable portion of the wine. It has happened more than once that by morning they were somewhat tipsy. Now I have forgotten something again, and indeed the most important thing. For something else also lives in this little case. In my box dwells the most dreadful, the most desolate solitude. I could not say when it finally moved in with me, for at first it came only as an occasional visitor. But somehow it grew accustomed to the place. It crouches constantly inside the stovepipe, for it says that from there it hears splendidly the shrieking of the night wind, and then it does not feel cold, because its heart is warmed by sorrow. Even when I am at home, it does not emerge, but waits until I light the tallow candle, then it begins, in a soft whispering voice, to tell all manner of wondrous tales. It speaks of old small-town gardens where cheerful sunbeams wander, then it speaks of good mothers who laughed quietly and spoke in deep voices in warm rooms, it speaks of burning, ardent loves that turn the face rosy and make the eyes bright and shining. And the voice of the mysterious, invisible storyteller grows ever softer, for now it tells of wives and children. When at last the voice fades away, I speak in my half-sleep. I should so very much like to see your mysterious people. How strange they must be! And now comes the most wondrous quality of my box. The mysterious inhabitant of the stovepipe, Solitude, works some magic, and at once my disgusting little nest expands, and becomes a splendid, sunlit garden in bloom. Along the sandy, gleaming, fragrant paths come the people of the tales. From somewhere the old village schoolmaster shuffles forth, with a mysterious and important notebook tucked into his pocket, then comes the aged archivist, who always walked home at noon from his office through the small town streets with steps measured to a hair's breadth. And before he has even vanished among the splendid flowering trees, I hear my father's deep and gentle voice. He is coming. With every step he draws nearer, the garden is more and more overcast by the dimness of dusk. It is already quite dark when he bends toward me and says, with infinite sadness, "I cannot help your sorrow, my dear son, for I have been dead these 10 years. He goes. For a long time I still hear his steps crunching in the sand. Now the twilight gloom dies in an instant. 12 suns flare up at once in the sky, the rays of 12 suns pierce the stiff, sluggish body of darkness. The blazing light rages, surges over the garden, and from behind the most splendid tamarisk bush a woman's face emerges. She looks at me, and then disappears. Infernal darkness falls over the garden, and I, so as not to see that hellish blackness, close my eyes. Then the mysterious storyteller says softly, "It is over." And I reply, "Yes, everything is over." And in the morning, when I awake, instead of the people of the tale, loathsome bedbugs and cockroaches swarm about me. I do not know what compels me. I drive my knife into the picture hanging above my bed, the one upon which divine goodness is daubed. For there is such a thing in my box as well, I merely forgot to mention it. But is it worth speaking of such things?